We are live. Welcome back to the episode 15 of the Apache podcast, where both of us are taking a little bit of break for the holidays, so we're kind of do some as we go. Yeah, man. So of course, we missed some pretty big news recently. We got two DC members shot in National Guards by an Afghan national. We got Candace Owens having assassination threats. Um, yeah, we got of course the usual Ukrainian scandals, surges, corruption. Um, I don't know what to do with that, man. It's ugly no matter how you look at it. So take it away. What do you want to start with?
Yeah, I guess we'll just start with the Afghans. It was under the Allies, Welcome Allies Act or something similar to that. That this guy was let in I think it was 2021, and he's been here since.
Yeah,
He's also allegedly a CIA asset that worked with him in the Afghan war. So, pretty unexpected for him to, come out and just have a killing on two American National Guard members in DC. Pretty disappointing about that. And then one died pretty recently, or pretty shortly after she was shot. So pretty sad about that. That really sucks. That we let these people in, and that they're gonna shoot up two of our members, and one's dead, and then other one's in critical condition. Very sad about that. Um, yeah, I'm not too excited about it. I don't know. It seems that Trump is kind of chomping down on this situation by not allowing any more immigrants, any more
that's
foreign third
pretty
world,
big news. Yeah,
foreign third world immigrants to be allowed in the country.
yeah.
That should be standard already. I think we shouldn't be allowing any immigrants in. Period. Right now, we have a immigration problem as it is, so pretty standard there.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think we indefinitely paused on all asylum requests, and also we're doing some pretty heavy back channeling on 19 of the other countries. Around June 2025, we had like a 19. There was a statement sent out by the White House on 19 countries. So we're going to be looking at the individuals that are in those countries as well as any incoming request. But I want to go into more about this guy and his background.
Hmm.
So this guy, he came in under an asylum, um, under special, not only a allies welcome, you know, um, type of immigration, but this guy was, I believe he was trained and worked with, the CIA in Afghanistan for, I don't know, 5 years is the number that I've heard. This guy is pretty, he's in there deep, because I'm thinking of the punishment these individuals would get. Just imagine this guy who were caught, who gets caught by one of their own. I
Yeah.
mean, that's public execution at that point. I'm not giving this guy any excuses, but I'm also thinking that this could be definitely a version of PTSD that's up there, mental issues.
Yeah.
This guy has a wife,
Yes.
5 kids, out of Bellingham, Washington. I don't know, traveled across from Washington to Washington, decided to
Mhm.
shoot up two individuals. I don't, people say that this was targeted. I don't know how targeted. I don't know
Mhm.
the two individuals in connection with this Afghan national, but something is not doesn't seem sit right with me when it comes to like um, regardless of his background. To be honest, regardless of his background, I think that there's some mental thing that this guy's going through. It is my 2 cent.
Yeah, I haven't read up on it too much. It seems like kind of like a cause of the PTSD you were talking. I think it is most likely correlated with that. I don't think any secret story or anything like that. I
Yeah.
don't even think it may be personal issues against them. I think it's just a complete outburst of kind of the former problem, or the former problems that just keep arising over these military members that get into a lot of war conflict. So
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks that it happened. I'm very sad that it happened that way, but yeah, we kind of got to chomp down on the immigration. He was let in under Biden, and now we have way more constraints for people coming in,
I'm
and I think it's good that way.
I'm honestly surprised there isn't more of these cases. I mean, there was an interview that came from individual that were part of around his time when he came to, when the Allies welcome, uh, I guess, kind of memorandum came to effect. There were thousands of people coming in from
Hmm.
from Afghan nationals, and even during Biden administration, we had millions of people coming in through the southern border. I
Hmm.
don't know if you're ever going to have a Chinese do something like this. Um,
Hmm.
I think the people that are coming from China or from other certain specific areas are more sleeper cells,
Hmm.
sleeper agents, than any of these. I think they're more like social economic impact
Hmm.
versus straight up terrorism attacks. Um, and that's what that's what the Chinese are good for. Maybe the Russians are good for. The
Hmm.
Israelis are good for is sleeper agents versus yelling Allah Akbar and you know just bombing people in a close proximity type of radical Islamism. So
Hmm.
I hope I don't know. I feel like there should be more of these cases with how many people do come in. I mean, obviously, whatever did happen is a tragedy, but if you have one guy out of I don't know 20 million, or maybe not 20 million, but I don't know, a few hundred thousand Afghan or a few hundred thousand Muslims that comes into the country illegally, you know, I'm not saying every Muslim that comes into the United States is is radicalized or is extremist in this regards, but I do know that especially this guy is in uh, a soldier in his field. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. All right, what we got next?
Ukraine.
We got the Ukrainian scandal. So
Yeah.
this hasn't been confirmed. So Yermak, um, Andriy Yermak, he's you can say that he's the vice president, or the second person in charge of
Hmm.
Ukraine back when he was still in office. The
Yeah, he's a foreign diplomat, right?
he is a he. What do you mean foreign diplomat? Like before his
Like
position?
he creates, well, his current position. I think
He's
he
chief of staff.
creates
Chief of
relationships
staff.
with other. Yeah, so
Yeah, he, he's
he creates
he's
relationships with other
he's on
countries.
the same. I would say he's tech, like political wise, he's on the same level as JD Vance
Hmm.
in terms of like hierarchy in government hierarchy in Ukraine, um, or top military official, I guess you can say, or equivalent to Pete Hegseth in the United States
Yeah.
level. Somebody that's definitely up there. Um, so there's two corruption agency within Ukraine um, that decided to do a search on his home,
Yeah.
and well, the same day that the search has been done,
He steps
he
down.
steps down.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if that's saying something. There hasn't been confirmation of. So the reason why they're doing this search is because of Medich. About a couple of weeks ago, the Minister of Energy in Ukraine was found to have 100 million scandal, and of course the search is kind of spreading through the government of Ukraine, and it's making its way. So I don't, yeah. The amount of corruption, and we've this is one thing I've always known. It's the country itself is up there. I mean, when you have this, when you have for comparison purposes, when you have JD Vance, taking bribes or stealing money, or it's one thing to do all of this during peaceful times. It's a complete
Mhm.
different story when your country is in shambles and your only hope to God is international support, and
Yeah,
you just you just backhanded everybody.
yeah,
You just lined every international partner and backhanded them and saying we don't care about our people, we could care less about your support. Yeah, on PR wise, this looks disastrous. I mean, 2 weeks ago it was already disastrous from what happened, but now I don't even know how Ukraine can come back, uh, come back to the international table and say, give us more money.
yeah. It's a hard situation to be in with all these scandals coming out in light of the time of wars. You can't really get much support is fleeting for from the American people,
Yeah.
especially for myself. I it's a lot of money to be sending out year after year, and the war to continue. Lots of lives lost, Ukrainian and Russian. It's very bad overall. I don't know where Ukraine can go from here because I think it stems all the way up to the top. So
Well,
uh,
here's a question. So if this guy was actually innocent, I'm not saying that he is. If he is innocent, why why did he resign? Or what's suspicion of
um,
guilt?
yeah, maybe just to save face for the Ukrainian government, just get rid of him quickly and move forward because the stories, I mean, investigations take a while, so he might have just thought that they might have deliberated between each other and then moved on. They want to move on for that. I think he's probably guilty though,
Well,
and
so this guy is heavily involved in the peace negotiation with the U.S. side, with European partners. I mean, this guy is pretty, he's pretty much the one that's going around when Zelensky isn't there, and discussing on the terms. He's very, but there's also about I think early this year, this guy is a pretty big mouthpiece.
Mhm.
The Americans doesn't like him because of certain strongholds that he's kind of pulling, um,
Mhm.
and just his stubbornness, I suppose. So I think the Americans are are okay with him not leading the chief of staff position in Ukraine anymore. There might be a alternative to a different outcome when it comes um, to peace negotiation. But for whatever it's worth, my wife doesn't like him.
Mhm.
I don't like him. This guy is and when I say like I I don't always blame Trump or Zelensky, the actual presidents for the country's decision. I blame the
Right.
people around them. I blame
Yeah.
the cabinet, yeah, the people around, and he's definitely one individual that doesn't sit right with me. So I'm glad he's gone. But speaking from a peace negotiation side, there's there is discussion on on you know um, the what's his name, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff
Mhm.
being a traitor. So essentially is he essentially pretty much gave like a um, scripted phone call to a Russian a senior level Russian representative on
Mhm.
how to kiss ass to Trump.
Yeah, that
Is how you
came
would
out a
say
while
it.
ago too. Yeah.
And it's like, hey, if you want to if you want to win Trump this way, this is what you got to do. You got to butter him up. You got to say, Mr. President, you know, great job on everything. It's a talking points, right? It's
Mhm.
essentially butter them up and kind of in I don't know. So Trump said this is expected. This is how this is how government agencies talking to each other.
Mhm.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because I, as an American, I view the Russians as an adversary.
Mhm.
I don't think we've ever not see Russia as adversary.
Mhm.
Um, and and to have and as well as direct opposition of NATO. And I don't see under what circumstances this would be okay or this is allowed. Um, I don't know, I don't know the entirety law breakdown of treason, but I would say this is treading very close, very gray line to that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
what do you
he's
think?
basically coaching the emotions of Trump's and how to
Manipulate,
explain.
mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very high stakes, very very high stakes. This isn't, you're not coaching, coaching, you know, Canada president on, hey, let's let's partnership on some deal. No, this is, I mean, you're talking about a the
powerful
future,
president.
the
Yeah,
future European shape. You're shaping the entire Europe at that point.
yeah.
Whether if NATO is even an option for Ukraine, or if does Russia get specific parts of Ukraine, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a big deal, but I
It's
yeah.
not a good thing when you're manipulating our president to be able to get more territory for a foreign nation. That's not a good look for sure.
Well, it's not even for a foreign nation. It's for a foreign nation that we are in opposition with. It's not like, hey, good job
Worse.
Canada. Good job Canada. You know what? United States is not going to get Greenland, but we allow you to get Greenland. That's a little bit different than, because I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
'cause he's
we're closer.
basically aligning himself with
Right, right,
with that guy. So
exactly. Um,
yeah,
so with recent news, I believe
and
yesterday.
also another thing is they already have enough leverage. To be doing this on top of that it's very bad.
Yeah,
Russia already has very good leverage with this
they
war, and to
they have a very good leverage.
to work counterintelligence on your own country, it's
Yeah, it's and I'll probably make this a separate video sometime tomorrow or this week. But there are people saying, like, maybe the war can be ended with Ukraine getting all of its land back, and I'm like, all right, man, whatever. You got to be in delusion
yeah.
if you think that Ukraine
Russia would
is
never be okay with that.
it's not even Russia would be okay with that. It's like, there's discussions on, like, well, what about the war crimes in the atrocities that Russia has committed? Okay, first of all,
Mm,
let's think of how big of how not how big Russia is, geographically, but geopolitical, how big Russia is and what they represent. I mean, the only people who can really prosecute, you know, uh, war crimes is bigger countries going after the smaller guys.
yeah.
When have you ever heard the United States being prosecuted for war crime? When have you ever heard of China being prosecuted for war crime? When have you heard of Russia being prosecuted? I'm not saying that the war crimes doesn't exist. I'm just saying that the countries that are at you know the big three, you're
Yeah,
it,
there are internal prosecutions, but no international
international.
other countries onto that. It just
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
no, it never will. It never will. And of course, you have uh, Ukrainians outcry saying, well, because one of the peace talks, or one of the peace points was that everybody's is good friends again. Let's hug it out.
Mm.
There's no war crimes on the Ukrainian side. There's no war crimes on the Russian side, and of course the Ukrainians aren't happy about that. And I'm thinking, okay, that's one point, but you also got to think, like, The Russians are the ones that are dictating the terms. They're the
Mhm.
ones that holding all the cards when it comes to negotiation.
Mhm.
The only reason why Ukrainians are even remotely surviving or existing, I should say, is due to Europeans and United States' support. I'm not saying that Ukraine should or will cease to exist. Is that they're at a they're backpedaling when it comes to terms for negotiation, and yeah, everything sounds bad when it comes to to the terms. One thing that I do agree with is that I don't think that Ukraine should give up land that Russia doesn't control. I
Mhm.
think that the land that Russians do control now, okay, fair game. But
Mhm.
however, Russians wants all of the Donbass area, even
Yeah.
areas that they don't control. So the reason why I'm against that specific point is that that's because that's heavily fortified. Once If you just gave up your your strong fortifications for those reasons, what what for the last uh, Donbass is what for the last 2014, 10 years or so.
Mhm.
The Ukrainians has been fortifying that area for the last 10 years. If you just give that up, all of Ukraine is done. It's done for, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, but I, of course, I could be wrong. But I disagree to give up the land that Ukraine controls. So
Sure, sure. Yeah, that was a good talk. Let's move on to Candace because I got 5 minutes left till
five
I have.
minutes, man. The more I read into Candace and the more she presents, I'll, I'll, I'll break the ice and say that I believe in a lot of her talking points.
Mhm.
Same as Charlie Kirk, same as Charlie Kirk. All of these people that and Tucker Carlson, I agree on on a large spectrum of things. 90% of conservatism, of,
Mhm.
of beliefs that they believe in,
Mhm.
and but I don't go down the rabbit hole, the level of rabbit hole that they do, and nor for the reasons that she seeks. And so, with the recent news, she continuously and publicly kind of pronounces the French president's uh, wife I
Yeah.
should say is a man,
Mhm.
and of course there's been some major backlash and even potential assassination attempt, or I shouldn't say attempt, but assassination order in place,
Mhm.
ordered by the French president into Candace Owens, uh, and there's discussions on when she goes live next time, which actually she was just live like an hour
She's live.
ago. She's
Yeah.
live like an hour ago. I just saw.
I think she's still
Uh,
live.
she actually had to take it down for a bit, just to
Oh.
just to see what's going on. She reported it to the White House. The White House confirmed that they have received her request. I don't know if it's protection or looking into it,
Mhm.
but I don't know if the White House confirmed the assassination orders. But all of this is just speculation. There's even speculation that the French president might even have an involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Of course, all of that is speculation, but Nick, I don't know if you know Nick. He's been going into some pretty deep involvement. Nick Fuentes, uh, and he's kind of going after Tucker. He's been going after Candace. I mean, yeah. I'll let you say something.
Yeah, we all have. We all, not all of us have the best pass. I mean, so Tucker, I'm very suspicious of. Candace, she had a place in her life where she got married to this man after a couple of weeks, maybe less than a couple of weeks, a week or two.
They
It's
met.
a little
Didn't they
bit weird,
meet on Zoom?
but that's a maybe a little bit more common with rich folks. They get, especially for a guy that wants to, and it kind of talks to the Charlie Kirk situation, Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk situation. They got
Yeah.
married pretty quick too, which
Hmm.
both of those marriage may have been slightly arranged, lightly arranged by friends or family. But I got to get going. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I do
No
have
worries.
to.
No worries.
Love to talk on this more, so
Good
let's
talk.
save this
There's no
for
evidence
another
the
time.
Macrons ordered candidates.
Yep.
All right,
There's
I'll
no
see
Until
you.
next
I'll
evidence
time.
see you
the
later. Yep, peace.